Okay.
Well, he knows.
I'll officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, October 27th, 2014 to order. And welcome to everyone for joining us for one of our quarterly night meetings here in Blueville. And special thanks to Mayor George for his hospitality, for opening up the room for us and allowing us to have this meeting here. Anything you need to say?
No.
All right.
Here.
All right, thank you.
I will be.
And just a reminder, all of our meetings are recorded. The DVD, if you want to get seen on that, come on up real close if you want to talk to us, and you'll get on the camera. But audio, it'll pick you up. That is for all the way we do all of our meetings. So please join us for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Wagner, lead us in prayer.
Lord, we thank you for this wonderful country that we live in, for the freedoms that we enjoy to come and assemble peaceably. We ask for your guidance and direction in all that we do and say tonight. In your name we pray.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy,
Here.
Commissioner Zoller,
Here.
Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
We'll have the signing of the journal, and I'd like to accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of our previous board session from Tuesday, October 21st, and the written index of that.
Make a motion to approve the meetings as outlined.
I'll second.
Okay, move and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, thank you. And do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Just kind of a status report on the RTA building. I see that Mr. Klaus is all done, but just trying to get an update on that.
Okay.
Wood, please.
Anything, Stacy, you want to add?
Oh, one other thing, how are we doing with the phone thing? Is that all now, but put to bed?
AT&T has
Okay,
been
we're
signed,
gonna
they
get our,
have it.
okay, we're gonna get our credit and so forth.
Yep.
Thank you.
We have another issue with AT&T.
I'll list those both under old business, and I'll come with you. And again, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I think this more than doubles our month on a month of Tuesday meetings. I think Tom and Brittany, I'll ask you guys. You're there.
Actually, it's the best turnout of any of the villages or the townships that we've been to. I really want to thank you guys. It's so much easier when there's people involved with what's going on in your government and so forth, and we appreciate that.
People ask me, did anybody come to those meetings? I said, well, it's about the same. Our average is at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays, but it just gets us out and about different locations. It's good. We're going to do let's do the old business, and then we'll go to the discussion about the museum. And that way, if anybody has other things they need to move on to, not that I anticipate we'll be wrong, but we'll do that, and then we'll cover the agenda items of the new business. So under old business, a quick update on the RTA building. We've been having some work done on that building because of leakage of windows and doors with water and water issues. So they're done. We haven't seen a bill.
We haven't seen a bill yet. Haven't seen a bill yet.
We had an up to limit on that, so.
Yep, he's done. Dean was supposed to get an update today, but didn't get a call back from planning. He's still waiting on the gentleman's name is the Feasels to get the additional repairs quote. All I have is a $2,300 quote.
Okay, are we gonna pressure wash it this year, or we're so late in the year that we'll wait till next year?
That's up to you guys. I don't know. I can call him and see if it's still possible. I'm sure it is. I mean, still got something on it.
We just want to get those things sealed and fixed before we get it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My suggestion might as well just, I mean, certainly get it fixed and sealed and so forth, but I don't think this late in the season in November is probably not the best time to pressure wash something, way to do it in.
then the AT&T update. We've been having some concerns and issues with our AT&T, going into a new contract with them, so we are.
Contract signed, and they're working on getting the credits, and we're actually getting our phones rolled back into the AT&T contract at our office when we switched to Time Warner.
Yeah.
Those are all gonna be rolled back, so we're hoping we're not gonna have any glitches, but, so that will be rolled back, but,
I think it's interesting just for the public to be aware that we switched the contract and when we switched the contract, AT&T was charging us $8,000 more a month. This lasted for 4, 5, 6 months. And then finally, we agreed upon it, we re-signed the contract and as it turned out, they were the best provider anyway. But then they would resend the upcharges, what they were giving us for the last 6, 7 months. So we're talking, easily $40,000. So it was pretty significant that you were able to negotiate. Thank you for that.
I just won't hold my breath till we get it.
I'll take care.
Yeah.
Anything else for, we go to old business? Okay. We will move to new business and how to proceed everybody that's here, since I think this is a great deal of our draw of the crowd tonight. We had asked the Historical Society to come visit with us and give us a little bit of an update. We had a nice report from Mark about, not such a nice subject, that the energy cost of last winter, which I think we've all experienced in one way or another somewhere, unless you're in Florida. So, he shared that with us, and we just kind of asked to kind of get an overview of how things have been going, because as, in our lease agreement with the county, you manage the facilities and take care of things there, but we didn't really know how things on the record sites for you are going. We know that obviously that was ahead and that was well explained, but we ought to get an update and see what we might be able to do to help out and those kinds of things. So I don't know, Tanya, Mark, I don't know who's going to talk or who wants to. And just for the purpose, again, for our recording, if you would, now and or in citizens' comments, make sure you state your name so we pick you up on that for the record. Hello. Hello.
Thank you.
I'm Tanya Hoffer, Museum Director.
I'm Mark Simons. I work for her.
He does a lot, believe me. What we are passing out up here is you have more copies of these things than
We
we
have a few, we weren't expecting this many.
We actually have a report for 2014,
Some share, but
and when you look over the report, I know the question was, where was our money coming from and where was our money going? Well, most of our money is coming from out of our own pockets, and everybody who's been volunteers and giving to the museum so gratefully, and it has been wonderful with the support we've had, but it basically comes straight to you guys.
The utilities, yes, because
Yes.
those are billed through,
You know,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it basically comes up there. If you go down through the report, we had $3,324.12 utility bill, another one for $2,873.32, and $3,934.93 for a total of $10,132.37. And with the money that we had coming in and everything, that left us $1,048.28 from what we had in as far as depositing into the account.
Tanya, how does that compare to previous year's utility bills? We had about a $10,000 utility bill in 2014. And just for everyone's knowledge, the previous commissioners have authorized a assessment of all the county departments, and we initiated through Palmer Energy a energy conservation, and I don't understand the whole thing, but it's supposed to long-term lower our utility bills. That's in theory what it's supposed to be doing. It's now.
Yeah.
In theory.
Right, yeah.
And our bill was like $1,000 higher than it was the year before. because we could not control the heating. Like we had in the past, we had a thermostat that was set for the days that we were there, come on at a certain time, go off at a certain time. Now it's pretty much on all the time, you know, and if we have things going on, which we've had a lot going on, people coming in for tours and are hanging at spur of the moment, you know, we have to go in there and turn it on early, get warmed up in there, or the heating, you know, the air conditioning turned on, vice versa. So it goes back and forth, we really don't have the control over the heating of everything. So.
We realized that the winter was much colder, and we expected to pay an increased amount because of that. You know, we didn't expect that the bills would be the same. But the thing that bothered us was that, when we walk in the museum on a period of time from, say, you know, we're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we leave on Thursday night, we would normally turn the museum temperature way down until we returned again the following Tuesday. So there'd be 5 straight days, which would be, what the thermostat would be in the high 50s, low 60s. We'd walk in, it would be like 68 degrees. All the time, all through the weekend, we had no control. So I guess, you know, I'm not an engineer and such that I know how to figure out and determine the cost overage of what it should have been versus what it was. I did the best I could as far as common sense is what I thought it might be. All I could say is that I know that if we would have had control of the thermostats like we did before, it would have been considerably less. Because we know when we stood before you folks 3 years ago and took this position of taking the museum, and we knew we had to, because of our limited budget, had to keep the utility prices down. We changed all the light bulbs over to as many as we could through the energy saving bulbs, put a water saver toilet in. I weather stripped all the doors I could, and we watched the timers for the electric outside lights and the thermostats like hawks. And we cut the amount of usage the first year by $1,500 easily as far as the total utilities. And then when this Palmer product got put in, we were basically helpless and we had no control over it. And I got a chance to meet with them when they were down there finally, and they came down to have address our issues. And one gentleman said that they were looking to get us onto some kind of a wireless system where we could control or monitor the system off of a telephone app, which I thought would be great. I could pick my phone up and bring up the museum temperature at any given time if we knew we were going to have some kind of a special event, I could pump the heat up. And that's not happened yet. And even though they've got it better, it's still a case where, like last night we came in for our historical society meeting, it was 60 degrees. And it was cold. And it took a while for that to really get up and running before it got warmed up enough. And that again, that was something that we would have handled on the more manual system on ourselves, you know, without any problems.
Will there be a time frame on that change with the wireless change?
Well, we met with him in April, and he said it would be within a few months, and they put in some kind of a wireless system in the back room that looks like it might be ready to go, but we've not heard anything back as far as, you know, the software, what do we need to download to get this thing available, so.
Can we check with them? Because that should be fixed. They ought to have control.
I mean, at least Palmer has control, so if there was programming issues, Palmer can get in and they could do the programming, but maybe it's still in the learning stages of being able to control that, but.
Somehow we gotta get them.
Yeah, we adjusted, because the hours are a lot more sporadic compared to one of the other standard office buildings. It's open, you know,
Right.
5 days a week.
More
and
consistently.
Close on the weekend, and yeah, and that kind of thing, no evenings.
And we've got things like the open houses for the Christmas coming up here, so whatever the open weekends, we'll need to make sure it's warm when people come in on those cold days or evenings.
Yeah, kind of a similar problem with the sheriff's department too, that where they need to kind of override the system. It's being managed by Toledo, but people right on the ground, you know, they can feel if it's hot or if it's cold, you know, whatever, not that somebody in Toledo's looking at it.
Right, that's what we had to do, is override it when we go in on
We don't
the
have,
days we're not normally open.
we don't have to tell you guys, it's not been a trouble-free switch in any of the buildings, so I'm sorry about that.
Whether we were running it or you were running, it was something they should be aware of, you know, it's just not working as nice as it probably should be.
Getting back to the report here, as you see, then the only bills that we had outside of reimbursing the commissioners was basically insurance for the Reedtown School, and we had a couple of advertisements in the Advertiser Tribune for either, I think one was for Friends of the Museum campaign, and the others were for events that we had going on. And the Bookmeyer's printing, that was for the junior home kids. This was their 100th anniversary of their homecomings. So we did a special edition calendar, which we have for sale for $10 if anybody needs any. We greatly take your money. But that's basically the only things. We have not paid to buy any supplies for the museum. All of the supplies that have come in have been through the volunteers here, and they come in, we call them at the Historical Society meeting time, Paula Crum tells them, hey, we need this, so they come in with cleaning supplies, hand soaps, toilet paper, trash bags, whatever, and that's kept us from having to buy that. But we also have no money to buy toner for the printer, so we have had no copier for 2 years, because we can't afford the ink for it. So, I mean, it's just, we have enough money come in from one time that we pay the bill, and it's get right on the wagon and get ready to get out there and fundraise and be able to be ready for the next bill. And everybody knew that when we took over. I mean, we didn't have no money when we took over, we still don't have no money. But I think it's been a big increase in the interest at the museum. We've had a lot of positive at the museum. A lot of younger people becoming involved in everything, so that's what I don't know what else to say with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, and with this 2014 financial page, this is typical for 2012 and 2013 too. We basically, you see some of our major contributors down there, our big money makers, the Friends of the Museum fundraiser, where people will send us money annually, in increments either 25, 50, or 250 or whatever they can afford. And then they get entitled to a newsletter and get updated as what's going on. And then our lunch and fundraisers have been big. We do have things we sell in our little store that are, in many cases, donated for the most part. And then we do have great support from the VFW and National Machinery. And again, these are not humongous amounts, but they are much appreciated. We've had some generous people who had like an anniversary, a wedding anniversary there, who asked for a gift for them for the wedding anniversary, to give a gift to the museum of money. And those have been a big fundraiser. And again, we may not be, we make our bill payments, and we seem to somehow or other always come up with the money, like some angels looking over us. But if we aren't swimming in money, we are swimming in the friendship and the interest that we've got in these last few years, because we've gained a lot of people who have really become interested and supportive of the museum. We need more, but again, the vast majority of these people here are huge supporters, and we couldn't have done without them here either.
And there's been a lot of work community-wide, not only yourselves with the museum and, all of the friends of the museum, but the other museums in the efforts they've done, the joint flyer that they put out,
Yeah.
and I don't, I think there's been a lot of concentrated effort on promoting all things Seneca County, that kind of stuff, so I think that's all probably helping all of those different entities, because they're, all in the same boat. It's,
Right.
Yeah.
nickel to nickel and that kind of a thing.
I mean, on the other handout, you'll see basically a 2-page list of things we've done just this year, as far as our displays, our events that we're a part of, the social media. Ask anybody who's on our Facebook page. We've got a lot of coverage, a lot of followings of those. We've done guest speaker programs here. We give all of our historical speeches for free. We ask for donations if they want to. Some we get, some we don't. But they've been very helpful. Our historical research assistants, we provided a lot of information for 3 books that are being written. I personally was involved in helping as representative of the museum for the Tiffin founding date, which, has been in the newspaper trying to determine, when the date was. Our Heritage Festival History Boards was something. I'm on the Heritage Festival Committee, and we had 8 boards put in the courthouse lawn there, with different industries that were highlighted. Those were very, very popular. They want to do another 8 next year, making the Heritage Festival what it is, heritage in history. So we were heavily involved with that, and we are again associated with the Visitors Bureau, the Museum Alliance, and again, the reaching out. We're in the paper all the time for good reasons, and we're in, we're as a part of the. It seems like our pictures on the cover of the Visitors Bureau and publications and stuff like that. So we always seem to have something going. We basically, when we came in here to do this work. We want to be good stewards of the museum and make you folks proud of the fact that you have the museum. We don't want to be considered one of those things in the financial column as a deficit that it's a bill that you have to pay. We want it to be a fact that you're something you're proud of. So that's kind of what we've been trying to strive for, is to make the museum pop out. And it couldn't have been any more evident of how popular we were if it wasn't for the April Art Walk when the weather was kind of miserable. We had 2 hours in the evening to be able to show off the museum. We had 260 people crammed through that place. It was wall-to-wall people. There was 3 of us working, and we were dead tired by the time we got done. But it was like a big party, and everybody enjoyed it, loved it. And those are our rewards these days, is to get those kind of moments.
Well, my hat's off to what you've done at the Historical Society, right? Sometimes I heard Foundation, okay. And I think you've done an admirable job with limited resources and so forth. And equally, I applaud the previous commissioners. Times were different. The budgets were getting cut. They didn't have enough money to go around, and they had to cut some things. And unfortunately, the museum was one of those things that they cut. We're in a different time today. I know that a year or so back that we met and talked about some proposals that to reunite the Historical Society, the Foundation, and the commissioners to pick up, to split, or shall I say, each take a third of the expenses of the institution, to set up an independent board with 2 people from the Foundation, 2 people from the Historical Society, 1 commissioner, and 2 people appointed by the commissioner. So it'd be a 7-person board based on past records. The budget for the museum was about $40,000 a year. I would not in any way advocate that the commissioners pick up all that, but I would entertain and would like to have discussion between my fellow commissioners of looking at implementing a third type program so that we could really bring the museum on to its full potential. Again, I think you guys are doing a great job with limited resources, and you're robbing from Peter, Pan, and Paul, and doing whatever you got to do to keep the thing open. But I think there's more to be out there and more that can be done. And again, I'm not faulting previous commissioners, because they had to do what they had to do. Times were tough. I think today things are a little better, and I think that we should entertain a discussion on implementing a procedure similar to that, or some kind of suggestion to come up how we can really let the museum flourish. I open that for discussion.
Is there anyone here from the foundation? Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know I know the foundation was doing things building-wise, when improvements were needed and some kind of things. So is that an entity with or without another level of some new board that is working? I don't know if you want to or prepared to say anything about from the foundation standpoint. I'm just curious, because I'm just trying to get an update.
I'm not one of the officers, so I guess I can't speak for the board, but certainly in our meetings, I guess I felt that we were willing to reach out and participate in that 3-way that you were talking about. So
Again, we've had discussions with 2 of the entities, the
right.
Foundation, the Historical Society, and there was a tremendous level of cooperation, and I was impressed with it. They embraced both groups embraced it. Now it's going to take a commitment from the commissioners, and I realized things are better, but we still have budget constraints and so forth, and we would be talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000 a year to have to fund that, $14,000 a year, and that would still mean that both the other 2 entities would still have to do their fundraising, and still you got to pony up to the table somehow or other here, and I would not by any means advocate that the commissioners take on all the responsibility as what has been done to the guys.
And the information you shared tonight will be very beneficial and helpful as we go into more discussions on this, whether it's tonight or in the future, about things and about ways when we can to help out. I'm gonna be real honest, the idea of the employee situation is not to anybody, it's just what that does to businesses, government, everyone these days with the laws. We gotta keep everybody under 30 hours. We gotta, all these different benefits, there's just, it's gotten more expensive. Any of us in business all know this, what it is for that employee, but help financially another way and let the group, however we have a lease, still take care of management if they're able to compensate their manager. That's just, thinking out loud now, my thoughts on things. But I think we certainly should be able to come up with some way to help with some of these expenses at the times that we are at now. But I'm like I said, the employment issue concerns me because there's so much involved with employees and we've got to do our best to keep things curved. We look at other departments who need people, other programs. There's a lot of programs out there with the name Seneca County to them that we have no revenue ties to, that we aren't able to give money to. I'm sure if we had it, or if they wouldn't mind asking us for money, but we're tied to what we can do. But if there's a way we can help, you're managing a building for us under the current lease agreement. And so whoever's doing that, if there's times we can help, I'm thinking that is something that I said, these are just my thoughts out loud. But I think we need to be able to step up and do more than, recently. And again, the decisions before were based on different economic times and, where we are right now, although we don't have that crystal ball to know where we'll be down the road. So just thinking out loud.
How do we take this to the next level? If there is an interest.
I guess I would be kind of along the lines of Commissioner Stacy, as Commissioner Zoller said, a couple years ago, it was tough. It was very tough to make the things that we did. We not only turned the museum over to private operations, we cut health insurance for all our employees pretty drastically. That was, you tell several hundred people about their health insurance going to a high deductible, that went over real popular too. So we are in better times. I totally agree with that. I think we need to not put too much in place that will hamper us when the bad times come back again, but I would be in favor of maybe another layer of government, another bureaucracy, but somehow a contribution of some kind to help out. I don't know what form that takes, but
And
whether it's a couple thousand a year, what it would be.
And I think those things help a lot. I know, when I was in business school, it was, if you're gonna go out and try to get investors, or you're gonna go out and try to get support, they wanna know that you have a plan. I think you've had a plan, you've proven that you have good things going on. We've talked about the increased momentum of things community-wide. And if, from the commissioner standpoint, we're, able to put some money back into it so they can operate things and not out of the graces of your own pockets all the time, I think that will help, obviously, a great deal, and, maybe spur some things too, so your fundraisers, can go better and stronger.
My name is Kenny Estep, and I was a county commissioner for 12 years in Seneca County. The last year I was in office, we were struggling, and our budget was 10.2. It ended up actually 10.3. I think from just reading and kind of looking at your operation, right now your budget will be over 15 million. That's 1/3 more. And I think when Dale was county commissioner, their budgets were quite less.
I remember when it went to $1 million and we just about died trying to stop it, but we couldn't.
And so with that in mind, I would strongly encourage the board to put the budget back like it was before, in the county budget, and operate it as an asset to the community. It's your building, it's owned by Seneca County. You've had these people struggling to pay the bills, pay the utilities, for goodness sake. And you don't do that on any other county building. You guys pay the utilities.
Unless they're outside tenants and they pay their share, yeah.
But you really do. And I would strongly encourage you guys considering that. Because if we could have done it, we all guys could have done it at a couple $1 million a year, and we could have done it at 10.2, I certainly think it would factor in at 15.4, which you guys will be, and that's light. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Our current operating budget for 14 is 15.1, and yeah, I wish the expenses were at the same levels they were in those areas too, but they're not, but point taken.
What was it last week? We got a report from the Visitors Bureau and the occupancy of the hotel motels in this area, but wasn't it 300,000 or 400,000 more this year than previous years? Okay, and you know, do all the different functions that the Visitors Bureau is bringing people in the community. I would believe that the museum is equally an attraction to bring people in the community, and so a contribution towards supporting the museum is actually in my mind, a contribution supporting local businesses, which in turn pay taxes, which we in turn get some money back. So it's not a complete drain. I mean, that was very enlightening last week when John Detweiler gave us the outline of the Visitors Bureau and how the investment that they made through part of our contribution has helped the local community, restaurants, you know, hotel, motels, all of those things that people come in the community. And I think the museum is just one other draw for this community. I mean, we're known as the Heritage Festival, heritage, you know, so museum is heritage.
And I know it's Fostoria being, as Fostoria happened to have a development group, and I know when the chamber director, when Pamela Smith speaks about things going on there with their visitor services, which she heads up, as well as the chamber there, and she's always talking about working with all of you folks over here, you know, you and with Tip and Tomorrow Group and everybody else, and so like I said, I think both communities are really, you know, promoting each other and all that stuff with the groups.
So I guess it really comes down, I mean, what is the direction of this board? Do we want to make a contribution towards them just of a couple thousand, or do we want to truly investigate a three-way partnership? Is that something that we would want to bring in the forefront? Or do we just let it go? I mean, that's...
I would be in favor of some sort of financial contribution. I don't know that we can force two entities to work together that sometimes may not want to work together. I would like to see the foundation and the historical society, you know, come together, but I don't know that I want to get in the middle of that.
Well, the advantage of the composition of the board is, I stated, 2 historical society, 2 foundation. So let's say they go at odds. Get a commissioner in the middle and 2 appointees by the commissioner. Commissioner will still run the show. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's unless the 4 of them, the 2 entities combine, and that's great. That's what we want to do. So I mean, I think there is some merit in that, but again, I'm only one of 3.
And I'd like to hear more. I mean, we're going to need, Fred brought this idea up a while back, and I know I've thought about it, but I do want to hear, like I said, we appreciate everybody being here. We too often don't get people to come to our meetings, as some can attest that are in this room. And we need to hear from folks. So I'm hoping that Brittany will have a fabulous article about our meeting tonight and about all of the people here of interest in the museum, and, you know, that we will hear some. So I'd like to see us, you know, this will become an item of old business on an agenda, you know, next week or so, and we continue to discuss it. I know I want some time to think about some things and maybe talk to some folks. I'd like to see us definitely plan on getting some money that we can do something yet this year to help out with some stuff. And then obviously we'll be budgeting very soon for next year.
Yeah, like Kenny, I have an opinion.
All right. And you're usually not shy.
It's a county-owned building. It seems to me the least you can do is do the maintenance and the heating, take care of the ground. And let the museum people, if they have to, work on the volunteer basis and work out the programs in the museum. But they ought to be, the county sure ought to be liable for that building. After all, they accepted it many years ago, and we kept it up a lot of years, and made some additions to it. Just my opinion.
And with discussions with the mayor today, and we have a group that's forming as far as the birthday of the Tiffin, but all the other events that are coming our way, we're looking at an enormous number of anniversary dates coming up here very, very soon that are important to Seneca County, including Rasmus Bowl, the first white man over settler, Seneca County in 1817, the 200-year anniversary of that's coming up in a few years. You know, the history of Tiffin, the bicentennial of Tiffin's birth or founding is coming up. And one of the important dates that's coming up is next year, 1915, the very first formation of the Seneca County Historical Society, which is called the Seneca County Historical and Archaeological Society. That was a group of men or people or very concerned citizens who were seeing museums like Deerfield Village and the Cleveland Museums and other museums swooping into areas like ours and getting the major collections of the primitive agricultural tools and primitive antiques of our distinct area. And they were taking them from our area and they were running them up and displaying up there. And we were losing our heritage. And these people said that's enough. So they formed a group, which is basically what the Historical Society is today. And they started to gather in, and they met with important people out in the county, and they started gathering these in. They have no museum to put it in. They actually kept it in the basement of the Wyandotte County Courthouse for a few years until they could get, the city allowed them to use an old fire station down on Melmore Street to store their stuff. Eventually the stuff became into the Baldwin House, which is kind of where Ralph's Joy of Living is, and that was the very first museum. And again, people all over this county were seeing what we were trying to do and trying to keep it out of the hands of the big boys up in the bigger cities and keep our history here. And what we have in that museum over there is was what that came from. Our 100-year anniversary is next year, and when we took this over, we hoped that it was going to be just a stopgap measure until the finances got better, the economy got better. We think we're doing a great job of paying the bills, and we're advancing history in this county like we never had before, with the Facebook and all the interest of the kids and the people wanting to know more. I think it would be really great if we took those steps forward on our 100-year anniversary of saving our history from it going to Deerfield Village and places like that by helping the museum get back on its feet again, get funded somehow or another. You know, these other county museums, we're the only 2 of 88 counties that the county used to take care of the museum. These other ones got people like Marathon Oil who pays the bills and other big industries. And to start out 3 years ago without any support and having to try to make this thing fly has been tough. And, you know, because we always had our county to take care of us. And so, again, I guess I would just like to, you know, say that if they could please, you all could please consider the fact that, like was said over there, is that it's a county building. And again, we would love nothing more than get the grant writers going and get our shutters fixed. We have such an enormous collection of fire memorabilia that we get the carriage house fixed up. And I did get a price for the cost of that through Klaus, you know, $52,000 to get that building looking great. And we could have the wonderful 1860 steamer in there. We would draw firemen in from all over the country and see the stuff we've got. But, you know, we could make what's a jewel of this county even more spectacular. But we just, when we're doing nothing but fundraising, and don't have time to push the history like we'd like to, we only have so many hours a day. So. Okay, let's go.
And there was a hand up down here before. Tom, did you? No. Okay.
Well, I just think it's time that you people bite the bullet and take that building over, take over the expenses. I think it's wrong that somebody's working in there and not getting paid. I think that person should get paid. I think it's wrong, dead wrong. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Nancy Rainbow, the Des Museum. And I'm here to tell you, you got 3 people at that museum that does a lot of work and wouldn't have all this history if it wasn't for Tanya, Mark, and Brian Courtney. And those guys really work their butts off. And they need all the support they can get. And you have a hidden treasure there.
You know, the passion is amazing, and we're very appreciative of that. Just hand up down here.
Yeah, I second that. I second that Tanya and Mark and his wife and all these people that are here that do the docent work, and they are just fantastic, and that museum has never been better. I went there 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and it was smelly and dusty, and I said, wow, I'm not going back. And I didn't until Tanya took over, and it's been wonderful because she cleaned it up, and Mark and her have done all these programs. But I have one final question. We farm, and the CAUV value is going up. Won't you get some money out of that next year?
Yeah, and that raising of that is a statewide thing. We didn't do that, just so you know.
You won't get any of that money, or?
Oh, no,
yeah,
no, in
they get the
16,
inside millage.
Inside
They'll
village
get
in
the
16.
inside.
Okay,
16,
well,
that's when that will come. It'll be built
that
next
would
year,
help
maybe
you out
16.
to help the museum,
Right,
because they really need it.
good.
One other thing too, in response to what Nancy said, is that before this ever hit, when Tanya was the director over there, but it was a paid director, there was no crew that came over and did clean the buildings and do the toilets and do the floors. She was expected to not only come up with history, but she was also expected to get the place clean. And again, as a part of the group behind the scenes, the museum docents, they're the ones that come in on their hands and knees, and Paul over there is on her hands and knees doing the floors with the sweeper, and they're doing toilets and stuff, so that it does sparkle and look good. If this pay would ever be resumed again, we aren't gonna go away. We're gonna keep on doing what we've always done. We've always been this group that loves the museum so much that we don't ask what you're gonna get back to us. What can we do for the museum? So we will continue to keep doing that. So you always go, you're gonna have us there.
My name is Paula Crum, and I help at the museum. And I'm there quite often, and visitors come in. And every one of them have said, I've been to a lot of small museums, but this one is by far the most beautiful, the nicest we've ever seen. And I had a woman say that again to me today. And this happens over and over and over again. And we take pride in it, and you should take pride in what you do have. And it's a beautiful building, and it needs to be kept up. We've got mud coming in the basement. I'm down there working 3 days a week, working down there, and the whole part of the floor is full of mud. And it was that way again today when it rained. We have a lot of things that need to be done at that building before it starts falling down. It needs to be maintained every year, just like all the rest of us have homes, and we maintain it. We budget to have monies in order to take care of our homes. And this is our home, all of us. And you need to come and see what this woman and this man spends so many hours, more hours than anybody can ever imagine. And they're going to get burned out. And we all want to help them. And we will continue helping them. And we want to expand what we've been doing. And it's been beautiful what they have done here. And they go out into the communities and give wonderful presentations. You should hear them. Every month. We had one last night. It was fantastic. Instead of having 20 and 30 people there should be 100, 200 people coming to our presentations. But they're strapped. So, trying to come up with some more money, and thinking about what they already do. How much more could be done if we didn't have that burden on our shoulder, week after week after month after year, that just think how much more all of us could do if we didn't have that burden on our shoulder.
Thank you. And as far as actual those types of maintenance issues, I guess I didn't know there was mud pouring and no one has ever said anything to us, and you're probably just trying to take care of it yourselves.
It has to do with
But
that
there's some of that, yeah. But that's why we said, I wanna make sure we have some regular communications, and like I said, things are different now. Was there any other comments before we wrap up the ditching?
If those two get burned out, I'm afraid your docents are gonna get burned out too.
Well, quit.
So you won't have any docents or anybody there to take care of the museum. So please find some way somehow to help this museum.
Can I say something? He asked about how,
Hand in the back, but, oh,
You
you want
overruled.
us to let him speak first? I'll let you go.
yeah, I got peace. You asked how you're gonna move forward with this 3 thing. The foundation, us, and the commissioner.
That's one option, that's,
In my opinion, that's not an option. Because we work our tails off, keep the museum going over there. And I know that just about everybody in here that's here is here for me tonight. And I'm not getting any support from the foundation other than they did a little bit of the windows. And I know Mark's building his head down over there because he didn't want to say anything, but it's time. They have stuff in that museum that they claim is theirs. Claim is theirs. I'm not gonna tell you yes, it's theirs, or no, it's not. If their stuff is in that building, why aren't they helping us to pay the utilities there? Would you take somebody into your house, keep them, feed them, let them use the toilet, do whatever, everything, and not expect anything out of them? No. And I think it's time that we don't keep doing it either. And as far as the water in the basement, foundation was supposed to take care of that side porch. It's an issue that's been addressed before. And it's the same thing, and this is nothing against you commissioners. I've been here through commissioner after commissioner after commissioner after commissioner, and you have to go through the same spill, telling everything all over again, and after a while, it's like beating your head against the wall. So that's why we don't come up, we don't talk or anything, because we figure why? Poor Jeff here is a good friend of mine, and he knows that it's killing me to stand up here beside him because of what's going on. So.
Well, the pride and the passion that you all take in the museum is very much appreciated. So don't take it because we just didn't write checks left and right. We're following a lease agreement. We have lease agreements with lots of other entities in the county too.
We understand that.
And dealing with those things, but we're aware of things now, times are different now, and, we're gonna see what we can do. And I appreciate the honesty on the proposed, what the one idea, that it's just one idea, and that's why I said, I wanna know what more think of that idea, because I've got concerns of how two that aren't necessarily meshing from what I've heard, in the past, how all of a sudden a mediator is going to resolve that. Not that it isn't a good idea, but I'm just concerned if that would be the way to go. Or if we just need to work through different things of how we have a lease agreement and bring some things back that we can assist with. Anything else on this topic? We'll move on to our other business tonight.
I'm Mike Ringo, I work with these guys. I do a lot of the tours. 2 or 3 summers ago, when the foundation came in to do an inventory, the 4 people that came in, I requested that they sign our visitor's book, which they declined to do. And I was very amazed when these 4 individuals didn't even know that we have a reference library in the museum. They had no idea that we had a reference library. Thank you.
Oh, we will let him speak, is that okay?
Now, do I have to introduce myself since
No,
everybody already knows?
I gotcha.
I got 2 things I kind of want to ask of you, and one is that the contract that was made between the Troxel family and the house, I've asked along probably 4 or 5 months ago for any other resolutions, and I know you had the contract, but it did state that there are other resolutions. What I want to really know is, I want to know every resolution that was ever made for that property, because everything that we read in that contract, and I've taken it to 2 lawyers, and they said the same thing. The county owns it. It's your responsibility. It specifically states that you're gonna take care of the property and pay all utilities. But I wanna make sure there's not another resolution that was made that got you off the hook. I just wanna be honest with everything. I mean, is that too much to ask that all resolutions that we absolutely know? I know you don't wanna go back to those archives, I know you don't. But I don't know how else to resolve this.
But the
'Cause
current
ways-
contract, we have with the Historical Society is our contract now taking care of the museum. I know it's not what is preferred, but at the time, the commissioners were going to close it down, and the only way to get around that was we created the contract with the Historical Society to keep it open, and they would support it.
Well,
Not that we can't change that.
You read the resolution, it specifically states that all the utilities are to be paid by the county. It doesn't say anything about the Historical Society or anybody else. It's your responsibility. The other thing I'd like to ask too, you know, you gotta remember, a while back, and I won't say who, but they had said that as far as donating, we ought to sell. And I'll tell you what, that killed the museum for people donating.
You better believe it did.
I mean, it just killed it. Here's what bothers me. We were getting really a lot of good donations, which means when you get donations, the county benefits, which means the curator her job is actually making a little bit of money for the county. Now we get nothing, and it's a bad rap. I was wondering if the commissioners would at least sign something or get a resolution where you can't sell anything there, and it would be up to the Historical Society. Put the responsibility to them. That would help bring in more stuff, which brings in more money for the county. It's not like a job where they spend on a road and you know, drive around and patch holes. There's actually income coming from donations that I don't know if that was ever looked at that way. You had one donation was $44,000 that the young lady went and helped pick up, just one donation. I mean, did anybody take that into account? That's all I wanted to say, but I would like a resolution. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I can, I have looked for extra resolutions before because I've had that request made to me before too. And honestly, I can't find any. I've went through journals, I've went through indexes, I've went through meeting minutes. So if anybody has a journal number, a page number that you can give us, because I've went through everything that we have, even the museum folder, I've pulled it out and looked through. And that's the only resolution other than if you guys give us Historical Society meeting minutes or museum foundation minutes, that's the only resolution in there other than the one with us and the Historical Society.
Well, and I wouldn't have the resolution, so I wouldn't know how to tell you.
Right.
All I'm saying is I don't want to stand in front of people and look like a fool. You know, somebody hold it up and say, hey, we do have a resolution. Here's what it says. All I'm saying is show me, so I'm giving you the chance to at least show there is one. If you can't come up with one, I'm assuming there is none.
Yeah, and I've went through all those files that we have looking for a resolution because I've had that request before.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And my reference is then, you know, the current lease as it states here. So, again, appreciate everybody coming out. Do appreciate, don't ever think you're not appreciated for what all of you do for the museum. We know it's our building, we know it's our history for all of us. And I think it's quite evident it's important to a lot of people. So, look at things.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes.
Paula Crum again. We're getting ready for Christmas, and we do a lot of decorating, and I invite you to come and see us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, I know we want to think about this for this one, but I would suggest we set a date where we make some sort of a decision, whether that's next Tuesday or the Tuesday after, so that we have a time frame that we can do.
I don't know what's on, anything outlined for let's do it in 2 weeks, just to give us time for people to, you know, reach out to us if others want to do that. And so on our agenda in 2 weeks, which will be a Tuesday at 10 a.m. meeting.
That's Veterans Day.
That's Veterans
The
Day.
11th, yeah. So will we move it to Thursday or just, okay. So the following week?
So it'll be the one after that.
So November 18th?
The 18th of November.
November 18th.
We'll put those back on their agenda and go with things at that day. That would give us time to, let's get our thoughts together, hear from people and so forth. and appreciate it. We're going to move to our items of new business that we have. We will have citizens' comments at the end as well. And let's move through these. Beginning with the bill vouchers.
Bill vouchers. I have bill vouchers 107 to 108. I have an appropriation adjustment from Soil and Water Conservation District of 42, moving $1,500 from advertising and printing to supplies. I have an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $1,700 from contract services to equipment. I have $700 from supplies to equipment, $182.90 from contract repairs to equipment, $620 from travel expenses to equipment, $200 from foreign judges to equipment, for a total requested $1,702.90. I have a supplemental appropriation for the Moving Ohio Forward Program, 073, putting $1,156.93 into contract services. I have a supplement appropriation for the Sheriff's Office Impaired Driving Enforcement Grant Fund, 220, putting $2,400 into salaries, $50 into Medicare, $450 into PRS, for a total of $2,900. I have a supplement appropriation for the Sheriff's Office Selective Traffic Enforcement Program Fund, 222, putting $2,400 into salaries, $50 into Medicare, $450 into PRS, for a total $2,900. I have a resolution amending the board's orders of September 30th, 2014, Journal 90, page 462. Resolution authorizing the appropriation adjustment for general fund, which is looks like that one was for maintenance and it was just an account line clerical error. I have a resolution appointing Dennis Rozier to the Facility Governing Board for Crossway for a 3-year term. And I have a resolution authorizing the memorandum of agreement for deposit of public funds with Sutton Bank, behalf of the Seneca County Treasurer, retroactive to October 15th, 2014.
Do I have a motion for the resolutions as stated?
I move to approve.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Roll call. Or any comments or questions? We rushed it too quick here. Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes. All stand approved. And we have, not listed on our agenda, one proclamation that we'd like to address this evening. And so I don't know if we want the individual to come forward.
I think we should. I think it would be appropriate for you to.
Jeff's going to take care of it. Mr. Stacy. The younger Mrs. Stacy is talking to you in front of the room.
Sam Bill's going on now.
The record bleep that.
We have a proclamation for Dale Stacy. This is his 90th birthday today. Former Commissioner Dale Stacy. I won't read the entire thing, but if you look at his list of accomplishments, we'd be here till 9 o'clock. I'll just read the middle part because it talks about some of your county things. It said, whereas in 1966, following in the footsteps of his father, Clyde, he was elected county commissioner in Seneca County. So his father was commissioner, he's commissioner. He served from 1967 through 1982. During his tenure, the county airport was established, the county museum was expanded, and it notes that Wolf Creek was an issue back then too. He was active in the Commissioners Association, the Republican Party, serving as chairman for many, many years. Following 4 terms in office, Dale was elected to the Board of Elections, where he served for 20 years. And talks about all your community service there, and we appreciate all you've done for our community and continue to do. Hope your next 90 goes just as well.
We started the ambulance service too.
Okay.
It's his fault that I got into this business, I think, totally. And let it be noted that a commissioner, if she went by her maiden name, she would be a Stacy as well in Wood County. Sale's daughter, Doris Herringshaw, put the bug in my ear that the Seneca County Commissioners better do a proclamation for Dad's birthday, so I'm sure we took care of that. All right, this would bring us to, period, there's no further new business. Okay, for citizens' comments, at this point in time, does anybody have anything they'd like to add for citizens' comments? Mr. Kirschner, you're pretty quiet over there, you gotta say anything, just hi?
Early and often.
How many days are left?
Too many.
All right, seeing no one for citizens' comments, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion and second, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
You know what this is?
We'll stand adjourned, and it is at 8 o'clock.